and I'm gonna deal with my 15-year-old. My 15-year-old just walked out. I don't even know where yet. Don't know where yet. But anyway, and so
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is your girl, Twanna Y'vette. I'm not feeling like being on camera these days, so you will be able to hear my wonderful voice, just not see my, picture every so often. I'll probably be on. Happened upon something very disturbing. Okay, so let's get straight into it because I want you guys to see. Um, what I saw. So I saw a couple of things. A couple days ago, I was scrolling through, and you can see on my right, which is probably your left, my tablet screen, and I saw uh, a video about Leandria Johnson and of course uh, Juanita Bynum, and I didn't know what was going on. So there's like a part one, part two, and part three, right? But today I saw this video. And it says that gospel singer Leandria Johnson goes live intoxicated, says her 15-year-old son walked out. So we're going to take a look at this first. And it makes sense to do so because I was still kind of wondering what was going on with the Juanita Bynum and Leandria Johnson thing because I am clearly either out of the loop or I just don't know. I was like, what is going on? Why are they, why do they have beef? Like, I don't know. Um, and we may watch like a few part. I don't want this to be like super long or anything, so I may show you like a couple parts. We may watch them together, but we're gonna watch the video that I saw today together. And I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Here we go. And let me turn, yeah. All right, here we go.
so and I'm gonna deal with my 15-year-old. My 15-year-old just walked out. I don't even know where yet. Don't know where yet. But anyway, and so folks can say, oh, is she drinking? Or is she drinking? Or is she... You don't know. Yeah. And you wonder why I get up every morning. 5 o'clock. Yeah. Because that's why. Anyway, why would she just go on live? Why would she go on live because that's what I want to do. Y'all already talking. Anybody that got, I already know. I already know. Teenage this. But y'all want to say, oh, yeah. Oh, I'm good. I'll be up in 5:30. I'll be up in the morning and doing it. I felt like this is what I wanted to do. Oh, I'm pushing through the pain. I'm pushing through the pain. I'm pushing through the pain.
Okay, so we're gonna stop that video right there. Because I have some things to say. And I don't mean to be, harsh or brutal or any of the things That's not what this video is about. Like, clearly, that's not what I'm doing here. But Leandria has battled alcoholism for a long time, right? Okay, we remember her on Ayanla Fix My Life, right? Where Ayanla Van Zant, she is a life coach, and she helps you get your life back together. She does not try to fix somebody's life. That's the name of the show. I don't want anybody in the comments talking about Yonda Van Zandt can't fix nobody's life. That's never been her claim. That was the title given to her show. She's a life coach that helps you get your life back together. Okay? So no wisecracks on that, please. Sick to death of it, been hearing it for 20 years. Like, you know. Uh Also sick of hearing, sad stories about Leandria Johnson and, her alcoholism. Listen, I remember Sunday's Best. I know how she showed up to the audition, and she was offered something of a lifetime. She was offered, she won. And even at that point, if she hadn't have won Sunday's Best, she still would have got a record deal because her voice was just that good in the gospel industry. She probably could have, gotten away with singing R&B, which leads me to Ayanna Van Zant, Fix My Life, the television series, right? So Leandria Johnson was on the show. She was talking about her alcoholism and why it exists with an ankle monitor on her body. Why? Because she had been arrested because she was drinking and driving and, creating a scene and all of the things. So then Ayanla, being the life coach that she is, makes mention of the ankle monitor, asks her why would you have to have an ankle monitor on your ankle? They had a long conversation. She likes the taste of alcohol, this, that, and the other. Ayanla is steady trying to get to the, root of the issues. It's an hour-long show. It probably should have lasted, a couple of, days. This show probably should have went on. We probably should have seen part one, two, and three. You know what I'm saying? Because, the root of her problems, we never scratched the surface, right? Maybe grazed across the, surface. Um, but if you go back to Sunday's Best and you remember how, she showed up and she was homeless and she lost everything, God knows what else the woman went through. But the thing is, right, regardless of, what you've gone through, it makes people who listen and who watch and are fans of your work in the gospel industry wonder, was your win on Sunday's Best just a show? Do you actually live the life or are you just singing for a check? That's initially where the thoughts go. We have some people who will say, oh, bless her heart, no telling what she's going through. I feel sorry for her. However, we're talking about the Christian community. So if you're not praying and you don't have prayer partners and you don't have a solid relationship with God, you don't have other Christian um, family, Christian family, not blood relatives, but Christian family that you can lean on, talk to, be there, they support you, then something is not right. And if this is a mental issue, mind you, I have never been an addict, but I do have addicts in my family. My biological father was an addict, so I'm very close to the game. And if it is a mental issue where possibly something that you can't, get over and you haven't, like if Ayanna Van Zandt is the only person that you've been to for counseling, then I would suggest you probably go to an actual counselor or some sort of psychiatrist or something like that because it may be an issue that you're battling um, some sort of depression or something of that nature. I don't know. But if you're going to remain in the gospel industry, I would suggest you get a hold of this issue, knock it out of the box. Like, just go ahead and I'm not saying that's easy. I'm saying that you're already in this. And if I'm not mistaken, you either pastored or you're still a pastor of a church. And I understand, you know, your premise, your purpose for that church is to, get people to understand nobody's perfect. All of that's great. However, you are ministering to people through your music, and then you go home and you get smashed. And you're the one that pushes the button to go live. I don't care how many other people do drugs and sing gospel and don't give me that. That's not what this is about. This is not a bash everybody session. We're talking about an issue that the singer Leandria Johnson has. Why? Because she went on live. She pushed the button to show the world what was going on. Now, the same thing I said when it came to Michaela Neguera. You can see her on the screen as well. She's on my tablet. She's one of the stories that we're going to talk about. I normally save um, certain news stories that we're going to talk about or whatever. So that's what this file is. But same thing I said with Michaela Neguera, right? I said if you don't want anybody talking about you and Cody's relationship, Cody having an addiction, whatever, whatever, don't put it out on the internet. Once you push that button and you upload a video and or you go live and everybody's going to see it, everybody loves a train wreck. Everybody's going to be talking about it, whether they know you or not. It's some sort of drama. And in these days, I hate to say this, but it's the truth. Drama sells more. Train wrecks sell more now in the real world than sex. They used to say sex sells, but listen, let me tell you, and I have a friend that says this, and when she hears this, she's gonna know who I'm talking about. She says, any news is good news because it's all publicity. And she knows who she is. And she says that any news is good news. And that's, because it's all publicity. But it's not when you have a brand and you have a business. And yes, it's going to draw people to you. But if you can't turn, you know, that into a positive, thing, there's going to be some issues. You're going to lose some followers. You're going to lose some people. I can remember Leandria Johnson telling Ayanna Van Zant that this ain't the music she initially wanted to sing in the first place. So maybe Sunday's Best was a jumping off point for Leandria Johnson. Once she got in the music industry, her plan was to sing something else, a different genre. And maybe that's a part of the issue. She was so stressed out about living the life in the industry and having to go here and go there and sing here and sing there. Like, if that's not what you want to do, then save yourself, save your life, and just get out of the industry. There's so many different things that you can do in the music industry without having to be on stage and go, do live performances and stuff like that. I used to be a background singer. I used to sing in the studio. I hardly ever had to get on stage unless I was asked to, or unless I was singing with like Quad Cities or Full Shows Gospel Chorale or the church choir. Like, it was never a big thing. I never had aspirations of wanting to be a Beyonce or whatever, or a big name in the gospel industry, because you have to know what responsibility comes along with that. I like being internet famous myself. So that is my thing. I sitting at my desk in my room, hanging out, talking about these topics. That's me. And it keeps me sane. And, I'm comfortable. And then sometimes if I want to get out of my comfort zone, I will cover a topic that I'm not familiar with and I have to deep dive into, kind of like I did with the Tim Norman thing. And we all know, where that went. It was amazing, right? So I'm thinking Leandria Johnson should probably, if this is what you want to do, if this is what's stressing you out, okay, I feel like maybe you should explore some other avenues that you can still use your voice, but it takes the stress off. Now, here in the same thing, and let me go back because I want the title of the video to show Gospel Singer Leandria Johnson Goes Live intoxicated, says her 15-year-old son walked out. If this is the norm in your household, Leandria, I could definitely see and understand why a 15-year-old boy would walk out. I can definitely understand and see why a 15-year-old child, period, would want to leave the chaos. I don't know what other things, you know, have been going on, um, but I can understand that. I can understand that your 15-year-old, you know, probably is tired, probably doesn't want to. There are some kids, and kids are smart. This boy, I don't know him, from nothing. I've probably seen him maybe like, once or twice because she'll say, I want my babies to sing, while we're on stage or something like that, and we're like, oh, that's so sweet. They're all talented, right? And so but their personal life, we really don't know a whole lot about, which is a good thing in my opinion. Um, but everybody's different, right? And by the time you're 15 years old, you pretty much have, a personality that, is visible to, the public or to anybody, whoever you're hanging around. So, you can kind of tell when somebody gets stressed out, right? You can tell when somebody's like agitated. Like, I don't want to deal with this. This ain't it. This is not it. This is not it. And so I can understand. I can completely understand. I raised a teenager. I get it. Okay. When you get on their nerves, and a lot of times I look at Aunt D, people call her Aunt D, and her girls, Shay and Bria. And Shay is older and she's a different type of autistic than her sister Bria. Shay is verbal, and you can tell when her nerves are rattled. And she's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want this attention. I don't want this notoriety. I didn't ask for this. Today, can we just chill? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we go out to eat, do you have to turn on the camera? If we go to the movies, do you have to turn on the camera? Like, just stop with all of this, and you can hear her in the background, I'll just wait to do what I want to do when you turn the camera off, which to us is like she's waiting for you to turn the camera off so she can get comfortable, she can be at home, you know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. So I get that our children can get annoyed, get embarrassed, get stressed out. They're humans just like everybody else. So I totally understand this. But what I don't understand is if you have children and you have something on your plate like alcoholism, is it that far of a stretch to say, I need help for myself so that I can be a better person for my kids? Because whatever it is that's stressing me out to the point where I really am an alcoholic, I have to go get a drink every time, I'm stressed out or, I'm battling some sort of painful issue. I need to be intoxicated in order to deal with my children and deal with life. That's insanity in my world. In my mind, where I live, that would never fly with me. I've never wanted to be intoxicated, let alone addicted to something that takes away my control. I like to be in. I'm a control freak. I like to be in control. So if I'm going to be drinking or if I'm going to be doing drugs or something like that, and I know that eventually I'm going to be intoxicated, that's not going to set well with someone like me. I don't like it. I've seen what it does. Um, that's just never been my thing. I don't want it. I like to be coherent. I like to be in control of my faculty. I like to be clear headed and to be a clear thinker, right? So anytime something um, gets in my way of that, that's when I get annoyed, and I'm addicted to going to school, and I'm addicted to being a straight A student, and I need, you know, I need not to be intoxicated in any way. I need to be in complete control. So it doesn't make sense to me. But again, I've never been an alcoholic. I've never been addicted to anything, so I don't understand it personally. But from an outside person looking in on family members and, stuff like that, I can definitely I know what it looks like. I wouldn't want to be in that position. I feel sorry for people who are in that position and can't get out. It's easy for people to say you can walk away. You could just get off of it. Just, find a different way to cope. Find a different way to deal. You know what I'm saying, with whatever it is. I watched a movie on Netflix um last night called The Last Letter, right? Where this lady wanted a baby so bad, and she knew that she wasn't mentally stable, and she unalived her son, her and her husband's son, because she had this. Uh, she would start sleepwalking, um, and just zone out. You know what I mean? Like she was mentally incapable of handling stress, right? And she would do things to the extreme in her sleep because it was just, and the psychiatrist that she went and saw called it some sort of sleep paralysis or something like that. And I'm like, when you get that stressed out that your body can't cope, and you need something else. She had medication, this woman in the movie, and she was doing fine on the medication. But then when she decided she wanted a baby, she had to stop taking the medication because she wanted to nurse. So there were certain things, that fell in line with all of this stuff. And she just got so stressed out that she did the unthinkable. And in some people's lives, right? Hear me out. In some people's lives, the unthinkable is something like being an addict. This woman in the movie, in The Last Letter, she doesn't even realize what she's done at this point. You know what I'm saying? She just knew that she, was stressed out, and she knew what would happen if she got stressed out, but she didn't take uh, precautions. And when you are an addict, I know, being a recovering alcoholic, I've seen this. We've got Michaela and Cody who probably are going to talk about this at some point as a couple. I would hope so. I would hope that Cody wouldn't allow somebody else to be his mouthpiece. She's already put it out there. Um, you know what I mean? So I'm hoping this isn't a one-sided relationship for them. But since we're talking about, addiction here, it's good for the addict, to come clean, to say, this is why, I do it. I hear Leandria herself saying, whatever it is she's saying when she pushes the button and she goes live. I get it. You're stressed out, you're dealing, with stuff and this, that, and the other. But if it causes you to get to the point where you have to drink and tarnish your brand, and your kids are walking out and everything is falling apart, isn't it about time for you to kind of look into that and be like, yo, I mean, you've already had an ankle bracelet on. I'm just saying, you've already had an ankle bracelet on. And I barely, um, and let me just say this with all due respect, I haven't seen Juanita Bynum in years. So when this video popped up, I was really like, wow.
You won't believe what just happened. And Leandria Johnson came
Bynum.
face to face in a confrontation that no one saw coming. For years, whispers of tension and rivalry had surrounded these two women, but the truth was about to be revealed. This wasn't just another celebrity feud. This was a clash that left the gospel world divided and questioning everything they thought they knew about these two women. What started as a subtle feud has now exploded into a shocking moment that no one could have predicted. Was it a clash of egos? Was it a battle over faith? Or was there something much deeper at play? Trust me, stay with me because we're about to break down every detail of this shocking showdown. You don't want to miss a single second. When you think of powerhouse voices in gospel, two names.
Okay, so in the rest of part one, she really was talking about anything. And Juanita Bynum has released, more than one album, but I wouldn't call her a powerhouse compared to Leandria Johnson. There's really. They're two totally different
Unlike Juanita, who
voices.
built her reputation on spiritual discipline, Leandria's approach to ministry is a lot more unfiltered. She's never been one to sugarcoat things. In fact, she's often the one calling out the hypocrisy she sees within the church, even if it meant criticizing the very institution that gave her a platform. So, when you put two women with such different approaches to faith and ministry together, tensions were bound to arise. And that's exactly what happened. For years, industry insiders whispered about the underlying competition between Juanita and Leandrea. On the outside, both women appeared
I never heard any of that, but I can see, I can see.
fans, critics, and fellow artists all reacted to the news. Many were skeptical, wondering if this newfound unity was real or just a temporary
So the unity that she's talking about right there is that Leandria Johnson and Juanita Bynum were supposed to collaborate on a project.
moment of emotional vulnerability. Could these two women really put their differences aside for the sake of the gospel, or would old wounds resurface once again? The excitement and tension surrounding the event were palpable, and people began to speculate on what would happen next. Would this event truly bring healing and unity, or would it highlight the deep divisions within the church? Another beloved gospel figure shared a more neutral perspective, saying, "Sometimes strong personalities clash, but the kingdom needs both fire and wisdom. I pray that."
Okay, so uh, from my research, this project never came to fruition, right? It never happened. And I just discovered something also. Uh, the first video right there, the Leandria Johnson video. The audio, um, I don't think the audio was visible, was hearable, was audible, or whatever. So I'm gonna have to uh, input that Leandria Johnson video in wherever when I do the editing, just so you guys can see, because I don't think it actually went. I don't think it happened. I don't think it. Whatever I'm trying to say. I'm not, visual is in my head, but we're talking about the audio. You could see it, but you couldn't hear it. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, in conclusion, I just, you guys, I don't know. I really feel like Leandria needs to get help. I feel like she needs to get some help, right? Um, yeah, I feel like she needs to get help. I don't think that she needs to be out here um all willy nilly, just, doing the most. I think that she news about Leandria Jones. Once again, I didn't know this it just like before I release the video. So you can leave me in the comments below. All right. I love you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.